Hello everybody, welcome back to part 2 of how to make a traveler's notebook. I hope you watched the other video and you know the supplies that you need. So as you can see, this is the roll right here. I'm trying to get that in frame. As I told you yesterday, this right here is 6 feet of leather when you buy the shoulder. So of course I can't show you how big it is, but it comes up in a roll like this. And then you're just going to unroll it. So this is just where I just keep all my supplies and my little jar, my mug right here. And then I keep my other ones just in a little basket. So anyway, let's get started. And one of the frustrations, again, that I had with, I've mentioned yesterday, some of the videos is they didn't really give you a lot of specifics and details. I'm a detail person. So we're gonna start straight from scratch with the shoulder that you buy in a big piece of leather. And I'm going to tell you how to cut that down, which is going to be, it can be tricky. Now this, you're just going to look at the piece of leather. As you can see, it's humongous. And then you're just going to see, this is probably the straightest side right here. And then you're going to try and see if I can get this and cut it. But you obviously are going to want to cut it in your rectangle. And so, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get this in. So what you're going to do, let's try it this way. See, like I said, it's just real life here, people. Okay, let's just do it this way. So there's a couple ways you can do this. Obviously, if you have a carpenter's square, that's fantastic, but I'm not going anywhere near my husband's tools, so this is what I use. I just use my craft mat. As you can see, there's just a little bit right here that I'm going to need to cut to make it perfectly straight. And then I just use my aluminum ruler and then my razor blade, which is right here. And then you're just going to want to put pressure on the ruler and then just cut away. And there you go. My knife is getting dull and I did not change it. Otherwise it would be a lot faster than that. Okay, so now we have a straight edge and the measurements for, we're going to be making a regular sized traveler's notebook. That was one of the other frustrations I had, is people were all ready to do their notebook and they've already cut it out and it's always a small notebook. So I wanted a regular size notebook. Regular size is going to be 10 inches wide and then 8.5 inches high. So right here, as you can see, we've got 18. So we're going to go down to, let's go ahead and do this the long sides. We're going to do 8. Let's cut this one off. And again, this is just going to be, because you've got this, I don't know if you can see, but you've got this, like, this is the flat part of the shoulder. And then we're just going to cut. And then when we get this cut, you can see if it's going to be straight or not. So let's see how I did. Actually, pretty darn good. Okay, so now we have a square corner. And then you can do this again a couple different ways. You can, like I said, use a carpenter's square, or you can just measure. And so you get a straight line. So let me get my pen. And we want, like I said, we want it 10 inches. So we're just going to mark. And yes, I actually mark straight on the leather, because if you're going to do like what I'm going to do, which is using the beveler and the burnisher, it's just going to take that right off. So you don't even need to worry about that. And this is, I'm sure it's going to be really the boring part while I measure, but like I said, we're just going to do it real time in real life. This is how I roll. Okay, so we've got 10 inches across, and then it's 8.5 inches tall, which is right here. Another one. And I usually have, well, I've stopped doing a straight line. I used to just connect all these lines, and right now what I just do is put my ruler there and then just use my razor blade. So there it is, 8.5 by 10. So let's go ahead and do this one first so we can get this huge piece of leather out of the way. must have, oh, let's see. What's the adage? You measure twice, cut once. Because look, I got a little bit off right there, so I'm going to use this one. Okay, let's make sure cut. Good job. And then let's cut this one. Make sure my fingers are out of the way. I don't think that cut, there's one little spot I could feel it. Okay, there we go. And I don't know if you can see, like what I talked about yesterday, there's a little blemish right here on the leather. So let me get my huge 6-foot piece of leather out of the way, and then we can go to the next part. Then I'm just rolling my leather back up off camera. Okay, let's just double check the measurements. I actually have made a huge mistake on this one time, and I ended up being like, I thought it was a huge mistake, but it ended up only being like 1/8 of an inch off. So this looks totally fine. Perfect. Okay, so here's our piece of leather. And then what we're going to do is round the corners. Now what I do for this, remember I talked about yesterday, which is my hole punch. And this has a round, obviously this is metal and it's got a round part on it. So all I do on this, and I don't even measure this, I don't even mark lines or anything. You don't, okay, remember yesterday I said there's things that you have to do and they're necessities and then optional things. This is going to be one of the optional things right now. If you want to take your piece of leather right now and just start punching holes in it and put your elastic and then put your notebooks in, go ahead. It's perfectly fine. The Traveler's Notebook police are not going to come after you. If you want to make it a little, like I said, a little bit more personalized and professional looking, I mean, that's just a matter of opinion as well, then here's the next step that you can do, and this round the corners. So I just take, let me see if I can get this on the center here. So if you can see, I just put it up against one side and then the other. And then all you do is just make little cuts. Just like that. Let me turn around if you can see it better. Can you see it better that way? And then you just, it'll take you a couple times just to get it through. And it's just a teeny little round, that's it. Just a little bit of a rounded edge. And then I always just go back and if I don't like something, I'll just make a teeny little cut on it. But again, this doesn't have to be perfect because like I said, you're going to be doing some other things. So let's go ahead and do all 4 corners. Okay, there's that one, and that's a little bit squared, so like I said, I'm not a professional. This is just, I've only made a few dozen of these, but I seem to always have to end up doing a little bit of my rounding. And then the last one. Oh, that one came right off. That's good. It's a little bit too square for me. Okay, I will throw those away later. Okay, so there you have rounded corners. You can use, Ray Blake has a video and he uses like just a metal washer on his. I've actually gotten into a bind and just used like some washi, a roll of washi. That didn't work out too well. Number one, because it's paper tape, and number two, because, here's a roll, because this is just too much, it's too wide. Does that make sense? Like you just want a little bit of a rounded corner. So just find something like this, just find something like this, or something that has a really small circumference is what you need. So this is the second step, round your corners. Then the next one I talked about yesterday is to do the beveler or the edger, which is this tool right here. Let's get that in focus. And then you're just going to go all the way around. And it just, like I said yesterday, it just takes a little bit off. And then you just kind of do it a couple times around the corner. Again, this is going to be one of your optional steps. And see, that's what I was talking about. This is going to take off those pin marks. So you didn't even know that they were there. Okay. Halfway done. Usually it comes off in about one nice long piece, but sometimes it doesn't. And then it usually gets a little piece in there that you have to take off, which is not that big of a deal. But if it's not cutting very well, that's usually the reason why, is because there's a little piece in there. Okay, and then you just look at this. Sometimes there's like a little piece that it didn't get, but you'll be able to tell. So as you can see, it kind of like took a little bit off the edges. Okay, so then you're done with your beveler or your edger. And then this step you can do, again, this is going to be optional. You can just, I beveled my edges on one of them and I just forgot to burnish it before I gave it to somebody, and it's still fine. So this is another optional step. You can also wet your piece of leather down before you do this, but this is all you do with this, is you just take it and you rub it back and forth. And then this is going to just make it a little smoother. I don't know if you can, it's going to be probably hard to tell, but it looks still a little bit rough, but it just smooths it out a little bit. And to be honest, this is my least favorite step. I don't like it, but I do it because it just looks nicer, I think. And then you just go all the way around. We're not going to be perfectionists here, so just do it a couple times over each spot. You're just going to rub it back and forth like I'm doing. And then I think this is the last side. Sometimes I just have to look at it. You'll just have to, sometimes there's just little strings you'll just have to pull off. No big deal. You know what? I think I did not do this side. Let me go ahead and do it. Okay, as you can see, it gets little flaky things all over your map. Okay, so now we have it cut, rounded corners, we've done the beveler, and we've burnished it. Now what we need to do is wet down the leather, and this will prepare it for stamping, as well as if you're going to do staining or painting, which I'm going to paint. Like I said, I'm going to do my daughter's today, so I'm painting hers. So let me find my sponge, and then I just have a cup of water, and you just rinse it out so it is, you know, like there's a drop of water that I could squeeze out, and you're just going to wet it down. Doesn't have to be equally, you know, the streaky stuff doesn't have to look equal. You just have to make sure that you have wet everything down. And you don't want it too wet. You don't want it soaking wet. You want it just where it's a little bit damp and moist. Just like that. Okay? Done with the sponge for the moment. Okay, so this is going to be one of the most important steps right here. As you can see, this has a blemish right here. So you just need to pick what side you're going to want as your front, so when you fold it over. So I, of course, am going to want this blemish in the back. So I have it the way I need it. And then it is time for you to do your stamping. So you need to decide what you're going to do. Now, I didn't show this yesterday, but I don't know if you can see this. This is my little baby pineapple stamp that I bought from Amazon. And this is what I use on every single traveler's notebook. So this one, let me get this letter. So I don't know if you can see, but this one it's a lot more raised than this one. So this one I actually have to hit 3 times with the hammer for it to look really good. So this is the part where I'm going to be doing some stamping. So I'm just going to tell you, it's going to get loud. If you don't like it, great. When I pick up my hammer, that's your signal that you mute it. So with every single one of these, this one happens to have a front on it. So that's how I know that it's the right side up. And then this one I always just put in the left-hand corner of every single notebook that I've made so far. So here I'm going to go and go ahead and mute it if you want. I'm going to hit it 3 times. And then there's my pineapple. Okay, I put that one away, and this one is for my daughter. So like I said yesterday, I'm going to put her name on it. I think she'll really like that. Unfortunately, she has 7 letters in her name, so that's going to take me a little bit. And then, of course, you're going to have to remember to do this backwards. You're going to put the last letter of the name first. So this is what I have found with this. Okay, I have this lined up now on my mat. And this is how you know it's going to be straight. Now you can, because it's a homemade gift, if you don't want it perfectly even, that's fine. I think that's one of the charms of it. I try and get these straight, and then sometimes they're still a teeny bit crooked, and that doesn't really bother me. And nobody's ever complained about it yet. But there's a lot of different methods out there on how you can do this. You can clamp these down, you can put weights on them. I think it's just too much of a pain. I don't even bother anymore. Okay, so like I said, this is the tool that you use, and then you just stick the letter on it. Now, this is the tricky part, because I will show you. See right here? This is my one and only mistake I've ever made. Yes, I did. I totally did the A sideways. So that's just the main thing that you're going to have to remember with these is that you're going to have to remember to make sure it is facing the right way. Again, you're going to check twice and you're going to hit it once. And then what I have noticed is, see how the ruler, this is kind of like butting up against the ruler. Not this part, but the actual letter part. And then, actually, you know what? Probably with this ruler, sorry, I'm using a different ruler. Yep, let's go ahead and it's going to be this part right here. This part you're going to butt up against the ruler. And then you're just going to, let's see. How am I going to do this to make sure it's straight? Let's do, because I like to have this on like an inch line. Let's just move it up like that. And then it will be easier because it does move a little bit. Okay, checking the Y is correct. Okay, here we go. So go ahead and mute if you want. Okay, this one, because like I said, they're raised more. I only have to hit these twice. The other thing, okay, I'm just going to tell you all my mistakes. The other thing I have done is I have like hammered the crap out of these sometimes, and you actually can go all the way through the leather. So you only want to hit it where you can see the letter, but you don't want a hole in your leather. So note to self, this is not the time to show how strong you are. Okay, so let me just double check and make sure. Letter. Okay, and then this is the other thing. Right here, if you line these up like this and do letters like that, I think that they're too far apart. So what I have found has been helpful is for me to line up the next letter against the already stamped letter, if that makes sense. So let me go ahead and do that. Let me double check again with the letter. So let me move this out of the way. Do you see what I'm saying? So the end of the metal stamp is now touching the letter of the stamp that I already did. Okay, so I'm going to do twice. There we go. And then I just put them away as I do them. Let me see if I can spell her name correctly backwards. Line up the ruler again. Okay, the top is against the ruler. The side is against the letter of the side of the letter that I just stamped. 2 taps. Hold on, I need to double check again. Okay, sorry. Ever since I've made that one mistake, I'm a little paranoid. 2 taps. Now see, this isn't perfectly straight, but again, it doesn't bother me, and I've never had anybody complain about it. 2 taps. Next letter. Checking. Okay, 2 more to go. Oh, I almost grabbed the first letter. Okay, this one. And some of the letters are harder to figure out than others, like the S. There is a correct way on the S, but that's just kind of trial and error. And when you are stamping, or when you're making traveler's notebooks, let me tap this one. You're going to end up with some scraps, and that's when you can try out when you're doing your letters like this. That's how I figured out I had to do 3 taps for my pineapple and 2 taps for these. And then here is the last letter. Okay, let me put these away so I know where everything is. Okay, that is done. So there's my daughter's name. I got the pineapple. It's done with stamping. Like I said yesterday, there are different kinds of stamps. There's italics, etc. But I prefer the capitals. If I did buy another one, which I doubt I will, since I'm on my 3rd and last shoulder, I would probably buy the lowercase. I think it's cute. And I shouldn't say that. They're all cute. But anyway, I've stuck with the capitals. I think they're great. Okay, so there we go. This is focusing. Let's try again. Okay, so now we've wetted it down and we've stamped it, and now it's ready to stain. I don't know why that's focusing. Now is the time when you put on your gloves. Hopefully that will focus. And as you can see, I reuse my disposable gloves. I'm very cheap. Okay, so this is the time when you are going to want to put down, like I said yesterday, if you have some wax paper, see how that just fits perfectly. Wax paper, something like that if you want to. Otherwise, you can just wipe it off like I've done before. I reuse my gloves probably 2 or 3 times. I always rinse out my sponge and my gloves right away. This is not going to be a big deal. I will throw these away after this one, as you can see. Turquoise, remember, a favorite color of everybody. So we are going to paint this one. And she, like I said, is super girly. She is fashionista. She loves shopping. She's got lots of big plans. She's adorable. Complete opposite of I am, but we get along great. Now this one's brand new. I've already poked some holes because it's really a pain. And I'm not even professional. I poke like a pen in there and get it started. Okay, so open up the top. Put that down. Okay, so this is what you want to remember with your paint. And this I learned from Jennifer Harvey from Chic Sparrow. She has a video. So the front, like I said yesterday, the front is smooth and the back has a nap to it. So with the front, you're going to go circles, and the back you're going to go horizontal and vertical, so up and down. And then the front, because the back has a nap, it's going to take probably twice as much stain or paint, and then the front. So just start with about like this. Let me show you. This seems to have a little clog in it. Okay, it's probably just part of the lid. Okay, so about like that. So not a ton. And then you just circle, circle, circle. You can always add more paint. which I probably will need just a little bit. And this dries really, really quickly. I mean, not like super quick or anything, but as soon as we're done with this, it'll be ready to move on to the next step. And then I just kind of keep circling till it's, looks like it's all even. There's a little bit up there. Okay, let me turn it over now. And then this is where you're going to have to use more paint. So just know that you're going to have to add more paint to this. And then this is also, if you're not going to finish it, this is where you can also put that conditioner that I talked about yesterday. Okay, more paint. See, I'm trying, like I said yesterday, I'm trying to be a lot better because I used to just have so much paint on here. It actually did take a few minutes to dry. Okay, so there's the vertical. I'm going to need some more paint to go horizontal. And yep, your gloves are going to stick. That's no big deal. Okay, so let's do horizontal painting. I probably should have moved my wax paper with me. There we go. And then you're just going to make sure there's no dots or places where you can actually see the leather. You'll be able to tell right away. It's really, really not that difficult. Really, if I can do this, anybody can, because I am not a crafty person at all. I can ruin almost anything. So that's why I love making traveler's notebooks. And then if this part got really, it looks like it's covered, but you'll just go back and make sure that your edges all got covered. See, there's some, I don't know if you can tell, but there's some that didn't get covered. Go back into your edges. Go around. Okay, there's a little spot. Let's look at the front. Okay, I did think I might have to do a little bit more. Like I said, I'm trying to be a lot better with how much paint I'm using. So, and there's that spot. Okay, let's do a little bit more on the front. And one of the reasons you want to stamp before you paint is because the stamps actually cut the leather. So you can actually go back, and if you don't do a stamp and somebody wants one, you can actually go back and do that. You'll just have to do a little bit more paint right down there in the corner where you stamped. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let me see how it's going to dry, but I think that's good. Let me go ahead and take off my gloves, and I will put my sponge in my water. Okay, so that's all there is to it. And by the time you get, like I said, by the time you get all your paint and everything put away, it's going to be ready for the next step. It really dries quickly. I've never used this pink before, and it looks a little blotchy to me. So I'm going to keep going, and I can fix that later if I need to. But as you can see, it's dry. It's not getting on my fingers. So let me, there's the back. So you can still see some of the grain of the leather, but it's good. Okay, so then now what we need is our hole punch. And this is how I've just done it. So you, of course, you're going to be folding this in half. So I literally fold this in half, and I make just a crease on it. And I used to measure this, but I don't do that anymore. I just do the crease, and then I just do right in the middle. And I have done this too far away. I've measured like 1/4 of an inch. You really want, if you're going to measure, you really want to do about 1/4 of an inch. I'm sorry, 1/8 of an inch, not 1/4. And then just right in the middle. And then again, you're going to do about 2 taps, even for this hole punch. And then there you go. And then I am going to do 4 strings on this one. So you need 3 holes for that. And again, about 1/8 of an inch away. And again, I don't measure it. And I've had them, yeah, this is going to be a little bit off. It really doesn't matter because when you get your strings in there, nobody will know. See, it's crooked. It's really, trust me, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, let's do this one. There's that one. And this comes loose a lot of times, and you just, obviously you're just gonna tighten it back up. And then let's do the third one. This one, for some reason, I have a tendency on the left-hand side to go down a little bit, so I'm gonna go up. See if that's a little bit better. No, still have a tendency. Okay, so this right here I talked about yesterday, it's just gonna come down here, and then eventually these will come out and you'll discard them. I was gonna show you the different tips that I didn't show you yesterday, which are right here, these 6. It just comes with those. This one is the fattest one, and then as you can see, it's a lot fatter than the one I'm using, which is for my 2mm string. Okay, well, here's what I was talking about. Those come out, and then you just throw those away. Okay, so we've got the string. Here's the front, and then there's 2 different ways you can do the elastic that goes around it. You can either put it on the center spine. I personally don't like that just because it kind of, for me, I feel like it gets in the way of, I don't know. I think it's just a preference. I don't like all the bulk because you already have bulk from here. So I just do it on the center of this one. And I actually do measure, remember this is 10 across, so it's going to be about 2.5. And this is all I do. 2.5. Mark it right there. And then this one is 8.5, so you want to go 4.25. So I was just 1/4 of an inch off. You don't have to do that. It's fine if you don't want to measure, but there you go. So those are the holes that you need. All done there. And then now we are ready to do our elastics. So here's the elastic. I'm going to do the black for her because I showed you the charm yesterday, which is super adorable. Actually, I'm going to take that out right now, because when you do your elastics are the times that you want to put on your charm. So look how cute. Cute little lipstick for her. So the pink and the black is the theme I'm going with for her. This is another thing I was really frustrated with because everyone's like, oh, just put your strings on and, you know, just figure it out. No, that doesn't work for me. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to save you a lot of time and heartache. So for the one that goes across, you're literally just going to do this from end to end, and you're going to cut it off. Scissors. Half the time I can't, I'm not kidding, half the time I cannot find my scissors. So I end up just using my razor blade and cutting my elastic. Okay, now we're going to do actually it ends up being 4 strings in the middle with your 3 holes. Again, here we go. You're going to do 3.5 end to end. 1, 2, 3, and a half. And then cut those off. And then this is something, this next part I forgot to tell you that you will need, but you will need some sort of a match or a lighter, and that is because we want to finish off our ends of the elastics. So here is my lighter. Okay, that's it. And now we're ready to put our strings in. Okay, so this is where, make sure I've got the front here. This one I'm going to go put on the side, so I'm not ready to do that one. I'm going to give her, I talked about the Tim Holtz metal tags before. I'm going to give her a dream as if you'll live forever because she's a big dreamer. She's got big plans. Okay, so you're going to put 1 through there, and then you're going to string your charm if you're using one. Actually, I did that wrong. I need to go this way and this way on this particular charm. And then both of these are going to go through this hole, and they do fit. It is going to be a little bit, I kind of hold this down right here and kind of pull on the other side so there's just a little bit of room. Let me see if I can do this without getting my glasses. I think I got it. And you just kind of maneuver it through. Okay, now I used to do what I just called a sewing knot, where you just go like that, and it seems to be a little bit bulkier than the square knot, so you just do a square knot here. And you just make sure there's just not too much on the ends. I don't like a lot of ends floating on mine. And then just, you want it tight, but again, not too tight. This is coming off. I have like done these knots so tight that I can't even get them off, and you don't want that, because sometimes you'll want to change out your string. Okay, so there it is. Let me go ahead and show you how it looks on the outside. It's upside down. Hold on. That's the thing about charms. When you have a saying on it, it has to be right side up. So there you go. That's how it's going to look on the outside. Now let's do the strings down the center. And this one you're going to end up, let me show you one that's done. You're going to want to end up with them looking like this. So 2 just straight across. So you'll end up doing 2 holes or 2 strings in this middle hole, which I will show you how to do that. So you're just going to go this way, and then you're going to go down the center with that one, pull that one through, and then you're going to go down the center on this one and go through to that one. Okay, so there's one string. You're going to take your other end. You always start on the outside, so do the other one. And then this is where you're going to do like what you did before, where I kind of hold this down and make as much space as you can to get that one through, but that one went through really easily. And then you're going to go through and again on this hole, kind of pull it over if you can. And this is probably the hardest one to do. Come on, baby. Jiggle it through there enough so you can pull it, and then go through the last hole. And then again, you'll just do a square knot. And then you can make this as tight as you want to do your knot, and then you can just kind of adjust them after you're done with that. So there's that one. You want your strings on this to be, you don't want it to be too loose or too tight, which is why I told you exactly how much you need it, because you want it to be kind of like this. But you don't want it to be laying flat, because that won't be tight enough. But if you don't want it like way up here like this, because that's going to be too tight for your inserts. So this is perfect, just like that. So there you go. Let's put her, oh, you know what? Okay, sorry, I messed up. I forgot to put her charm on. So let's undo this one. And when I put a charm on, this is not that big of a deal. When I put a charm on, where did her charm go? There we go. When I put a charm on, I like to put it, when it's folded over on the front, I like to put it on this top section. So this is when you're going to do a charm. This is when you'll put it on. I knew I was forgetting something adorable for her. And then go through that last hole again, do our knot again. Pull a little bit tight. Okay, and then you can just adjust these strings so they're all about the same. Because I got it messed up when I put that charm on. Which one is it? This one. Okay, there we go. Those are all even now. Okay, so here we've got the really cute charm lipstick on the outside, and then we've got her cute little saying. So there we go. Perfect. So this is, like I said, this is the regular size traveler's notebook. You're going to have some of this where it's like pulling on the edge. That's just going to be normal when you get, until you get your, let me move that out of the way, until you get your inserts in there. Okay, so there we go, start to finish. Now this took a long time. because I had to talk through so much of this. I have actually timed it. It takes 20 minutes from start to finish to actually make these by yourself without having to explain it and everything. Let me give you just a couple things. This is another thing I was really frustrated with. Like I said with the regular notebook, it's called a regular, if you look at Midori, they call it just a regular traveler's notebook. If you go onto Etsy, they're calling this size a narrow, which is the narrow and a regular is the same exact size. They're 8.5 inch is tall and 10 inches wide when you have it open. Now a wide is this one. And as you can see, same exact height, but the wide is obviously a little bit wider. These are 8.5 inches high and 11.5 inches wide. These fit an A5 notebook without the spiral. So these are also very popular. Again, this is called a wide on Etsy or an A5. Midori, the actual Midori brand, doesn't have a wide as far as I know. And then let me show you a couple other sizes. This one is the passport size. This is my son's in the slate gray water stain that I showed you yesterday. He actually likes his string up and down this way, which is no big deal. This, yes, it actually does fit a passport, and then I was going to show you his spine on this one. I only have one elastic, and this is the way you do one elastic, is when you have it vertical like this. If you do it this way, it's the same as if you did this, where you're going to do 1/8 of an inch apart, but no more, because you don't want, even 1/4 of an inch is going to interfere with your notebook. I know that seems silly, but that 1/8 of an inch difference makes a big difference. And then I was also going to show you the difference between the stain. So this is what I was telling you yesterday. Here's a paint. This is a stain. And then this is mine, which I just kept mine natural. I was also going to show you the natural if you leave it, if you don't do anything with it. I don't know if you can tell. I have been using mine daily, everywhere I go, for 3 months solid, and it's starting to darken up, and that's a very natural, normal process. You want it to do that. So it starts with this natural nude kind of color, and it kind of ages to a butterscotch kind of caramel, yes, I love food, color. And it actually will go a little bit darker. Part of that is just the oils on your hand as you're touching it, and part of it is the sunshine, which my guys at the store told me. So I prefer the natural, that's why I kept mine that way, but I just thought I'd show you the differences between the finishes that you have. The other thing is, let's see, I'll give you the dimensions on the passport. That is going to be 5 and 2, 5 1/4, okay, like 5.25, 5 1/4 inches high, and then 8.25 inches wide to make a passport. Yes, it does actually fit a passport beautifully. Then there's a lot of personal and field notes sizes coming out. Those are new sizes that are coming out. I haven't made one of those yet. I do have plans to make probably 5 or 6 more traveler's notebooks, and I do want to do field notes for my husband, Mr. Technology. So I will probably show you that one as well as his passport in his, because he is out of town right now traveling with his passport. I know, crazy, right? And then I wanted to show you this one. If you want to make a traveler's notebook, you can make it for any notebook that you own, any size. And all you need to remember is that you're going to add 1/4 of an inch to the height. So you want 1/8 of an inch on the top and the bottom for the notebook, and then you're going to add about 1 inch. And that's going to be because when you put a couple notebooks in here, you're going to need this space right here. So that's how you can make a custom traveler's notebook for any size of notebook that you have. So I know this is a really long video. I hope that it's helped you with making your own traveler's notebook. It's given you some ideas. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions. I'm sure I missed something. Let me go back over my notes really quick. Yes, I think that's about it. Anyway, thank you for watching. Again, like I said, I hope this has really helped you. The reason, just to finish, the reason I decided to go ahead and make this video, like I said, I was really frustrated when I was beginning, And a lot of that is I wanted most of the videos out there either show fabric or pleather, plastic, things that I didn't want. I wanted a leather, and I wanted a regular size notebook. And most of the tutorials out there are more of like the passport size. So that's why I went ahead and, like I said, did this video for you. I hope it helped. I did a lot of research before this. These are the perfect sizes for these. Most of the research I did out there you can find all the centimeters for every single notebook, but the problem with that, again, is that everybody had different centimeters and different measurements. So I did a whole bunch of research, and these are the measurements that I came up with. They have worked beautifully for every single notebook I've ever done in any size. So have a great day. Have fun making your traveler's notebooks, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.